Hello YouTubers. Got a new set of mold blocks. They're 311 93 grain Lee 6 cavity mold blocks. I just measured them and it came out to 0.104. Okay, what I'm doing is I want to take the top of these mold blocks and cut them down. I want to make a lighter, shorter bullet. These are 32 caliber and I want to be able to shoot them in a 32 ACP. And I had this bright idea last fall or last spring when I was casting all those bullets to make a lighter bullet. They only make them in 2 cavity and I hate 2 cavity molds. So I'm going to try to design and modify this set right here to cast a lighter bullet. I'm not sure what they'll weigh. Let me get some paper and a pen. I'll show you what I'm doing. Right there is what the bullet looks like. It is a round nose bullet with 2 grease screws, and then it's got 2 driving bands down here on the bottom. Where these lines are at, that's where I'm going to mill the mold block down to make it a lighter bullet, and it'll just go across there, and then the bullet will look like that because the lead pours in from the base of the bullet. So I'm just taking some of the base off. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over to my mill. I'm going to take the spruce cutter off and these 2 bolts off and the handles off, mount them in my mill, run an indicator across the top of here until I have it perfectly level or true with the mill, because my mill's off just a little bit. And then I'm going to mill this top down to make that lighter bullet. Let's go over to the mill. Okay, I've got that done. I'm going to have to apologize. I'm putting this in before I do it because I thought I was recording and I did not record how I set up the mill and how I was cutting. I only got the very end of my last cut. I don't know what happened, but you'll see a little bit of the last cut and then we'll go from there. Sorry about that. Just finished milling the top of this Lee 6 cavity mold block off. To true it up so it was perfectly flat, I had my indicator on here and ran it back and forth on here and shimmed here until I had it so there was absolutely no run out. And I was using a 1/2,000th indicator and it was reading 0 all the way across. So it should be good. I had to take 104 thousandths off to get past the grease groove and right to the bottom of one of the, I forget what you call them, the wider part that goes into the rifling. Let me take it out of here. We'll clean it out, take it over to my bench, and check it out. I hope it focuses okay. It looks like it is. Right there's the original bullet that this mold would have cast and how much I took it down. Right here's one of the original molds, or it's the original mold that I had that I cast that bullet with, compared to what it is now. The The bottom one's my new one. I think this went pretty well. They make a small bullet for a 32 ACP, Lee does, but it's only a 2-cavity mold, and I just hate casting with 2-cavity molds. I don't think they make it in a 6 because it's probably too much metal and not enough lead to keep the mold blocks warm enough to cast proper bullets. But as you know, when I cast bullets, I have them on a hot plate. My mold blocks sit on a hot plate, and that keeps them hot. So I'm hoping that I can adjust the temperature of that enough that I'll be able to cast some good bullets with this. Now the next step is, if this works out and I'm happy with it, I may buy another set of these mold blocks, and then instead of cutting them shorter, I want them this length, the original length, and I'll run a milling cutter down in the center of each one of those and make them a flat point. Then I can have a 6-cavity mold block and size them properly for my 32-20 Marlin lever action rifle. That'll make them a little heavy, a little heavier than these. These are a 93 grain, so if I flatten the point on it so that it's safe to shoot in a tubular magazine, just flatten that point a little, maybe I can shoot them in the lever action. Okay, I got the mold all done. I got it sitting here on my hot plate, waiting on my hot to melt. I'll show you what I did. The screw up front, I didn't have to do anything to because it's just running through farther. Now the spruce, the bolt that holds the spruce down onto the top of the mold, I had to cut it off shorter. So I put it in my lathe and just faced it off until I had it the right depth. This bolt here was the tough one. I had to keep putting it in the lathe and facing it off until I had it so it'd close over the top of that handle without raising the spruce cutter up. It's pretty thin, but this bolt actually just tightens on top of a shoulder that the handle here pivots on. So that head of that bolt isn't really holding much of anything. It's just a way of tightening this nut against that shoulder. I'll just have to be careful I don't pry down on this handle when I'm cutting the spruce. I sprayed the mold block off with brake cleaner to get all the machining oil off of it, and now I'm just waiting on my pot to warm up. Then I'm going to cast a bunch of these bullets and see what they weigh, and then I'll try to get some loaded. Be back with some bullets. Okay, I brought 10 of them down here to the reloading room. The one in the dead center is the unmodified. That one weighed 88.9 grains. They're supposed to weigh 93. That might be what they weigh after you lube them. The 10 there, the heaviest one was 65.0 and the lightest one was 63.6. They averaged, I didn't average it out, but they're probably averaging around 64.5. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty close. 64.5 grains. So I'm going to have to look up some loading info for the 32 ACP and play around with these. I probably cast 300 or 400 of them. Thanks for watching.